so stupid. It's so dumb.
Tonight is a talented actress and producer you know from her work on Gossip Girl, Town, It Ends With Us, The Shallows, and A Simple Favor.
Blake Lively strikes again. One note of who or what, let's find out. I would love to go back and explain, but that would be too much. Besides, you can always subscribe to get notifications and get the latest gist.
Intentionally planted stories, right, to make her look bad and to make...
Now, where were we? Ooh, yes, let's refresh our memory. So you guys are aware of the back and forth going on between Baldwin and Blake, where he was accused of sexual harassment during the movie Making of It Ends With Us. Everything was going fine. Blake was handling the press tour mostly without Baldwin. He gave her the opportunity to take control, saying that she had her hands in every part of this production, and everything she touched made it better. This went on until 4 months after the film launch. Blake filed a case of harassment stating that Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath Wayfair CEO are involved in repeated sexual harassment and other disturbing behaviors. She also accused him of destroying her public image, and all to safeguard against the risk of Ms. Lively ever revealing the truth about Mr. Baldoni. The Baldwin Wayfair team created Planet Amplified and boosted content designed to eviscerate Miss Lively's credibility. Her team wrote in the filing she and her team goes on to say in the filing that all has led to substantial harm that affects all aspects of her life. She says all these, and I'm wondering where did she get all these from, but that's not all. Responding to the legal complaint, Mr. Baldwin's lawyer Brian Friedman said on Saturday, "It is shameful that Ms. Lively and her representatives would make such serious and categorically false accusations against Mr. Baldoni Wayfair Studios and its representatives. Friedman, who is Baldwin's lawyer, accused Ms. Lively of making numerous demands and threats, including threatening to not show up to set, threatening to not promote the film, which would end up ultimately leading to its demise during release if her demands were not met after the accusations and denial. Baldwin finally made a move. He filed a lawsuit against Lively. He sued Blake and her team, suing him $400 million in damages on claims of civil extortion, defamation, and invasion of privacy. His lawyer, Brian Friedman, said the actress and her partners had circulated grossly edited, unsubstantiated, new and doctored information to the media. He also said Lively and her team had attempted to bulldoze reputations and livelihoods for heinously selfish reasons. In response, Lively's legal team described the lawsuit as another chapter in the abuser playbook. After all the back and forth, they went for their first court hearing, which was said to be a very heated affair due to this. Judge Lyman said both sides have given the public plenty to feast upon and added that if the case ended up being litigated in the press, he could be forced to make the March 2026 trial date earlier, so jurors do not become prejudiced against either of the defendants. He also said he is barring the lawyers from making statements publicly that could sway the outcome of a trial. Now, no one knows anything till 2026. People are patiently waiting, but both sides have been not getting lots of hits from supporters and haters, which is making it hard to actually move on freely. Well, that's not exactly what we are here to talk about. We are here to talk about Blake's late-night interview with Seth Meyers, like she's ready to talk, and no one wants to listen. And finally, Seth wants I will most likely be skipping most parts of what happened, because we want to focus on what Blake said about Baldwin and some stuff on her being the victim, but we're still going to show you the video, not although basically Blake has been silent for so long. She can't take it anymore, so she reached out to Seth Meyers. Actually, it might be the other way around, that is, CIR reached out to Blake, seeing that he specifically said he does not know much about what is going on, I believe. He just put it out there to avoid people's criticism. But I don't think that works, seeing as people's comments are currently flooding his personal and business accounts on every social media handle. Anyways, Blake walked into the show looking like she came from her wedding. We all know that was just for the paparazzi. Pleasantries were exchanged, and all then Seth hits right on talking about how he would need to get super-sized chairs to ensure her comfort on the show after laughing about that, and talking about the light stuff where the whole thing seems funny, and entertaining Emily is a changed woman in this movie. She drinks martinis with ice. That's very exciting, which is a big deal. That is a big deal. If you saw the first one, you'd understand why she has beef with Ice do. You in life have beef with Ice no. I love Ice. This was Seth trying to tread lightly and ease into the main topic, making Blake talk about Emily, her character in the movie, a very Brady sequel. Then he asked if she liked Ice, like, to keep the conversation going and differentiate from the character in Type 1 acting it. How about Ice? Do you have beef? I wish you would have said it. That way everyone seems to have a problem with you. Do you have a problem with Ice would have been? Funny, I really like Ice too, and where they go on a hole. Monologue about Ice. Blake lively starts quoting and singing from Frozen. I believe they had nothing to say, so they made the talk all about Ice like who cares, but Seth could not go straight to the point besides Blake was already on a roll. So he might as well talk about it. Someone said, I strongly believe Seth is a coward. It was said he turned off comment notifications during the interview, most likely to prevent hate comments. For someone who doesn't know much would he do that, but that's none of our business anyway.
I really should just go back to a suit for tonight. This is a fantastic
you didn't
outfit.
Wear your wedding gown?
It's amazing. It's a lot of dress.
It's big, though. I'm like, where do I put it all?
They finally did get to it, and it started based on bringing up her daughters. Seth said, your daughters ever criticize your outfits? And she was like, oh, yeah. No, one of my daughters has the same birthday as Napoleon and Jennifer Lawrence. So if you imagine like those two blended, is how does it work? Is that how birthdays work? You blend? I think so. I don't know if she clearly knows this because she brought it up clearly well. That's what she thinks anything she says isn't real because she is just sarcastically throwing jokes out to see what'll stick. And I feel like that's what she did with the whole lawsuit. They continued more like she continued the discussion, saying a lot about star signs. I heard something. Someone said the other day that if your son texts you and says like, Mom, I'm on a date, she's asking you for my star sign. What should I say? And the mom texts back, run. If we look at this conversation closely, Seth hasn't had the chance to really talk. Like she just gets on and on with different conversations. She's such a good talk show guest. She went on and on about her daughter's birthday, how she believes she will be an authoritarian, funny leader someday, how she is funny, and all that until she said, I mean, it's no surprise I've had a pretty intense year. And like, they're just my lifeline. Like, no matter what day I'm having, I have to be Disneyland every day for them. And so they're my lifeline. Now, some say this interview was staged, like prearranged. All the questions were laid out already, because why would they talk about Ice and then her daughters giving her the chance to say they're her lifeline and all making it seem like, oh, people are giving her a hard time. But she tries to be there for her children. This here is exactly where the main subject line begins. It was a perfect sign to show some sympathy. I am a great mother, trying to give voice to the voiceless, like show the news, and they'll love you, they're unconditional, etc. But then she's like, it's like, I have to pretend to go to Disneyland every day. It's such a chore for me. It is so hard, because it's so hard being Blake Lively right now, having to go with my nannies and everybody and all these trips where clearly my kids aren't here, and deal with that. And I have to be a happy mama for them. I thought the whole lawsuit says you weren't. The lawsuit says you can't go outside. You're so bothered by it, you can't leave the house or the kids are affected. It's all, I'm getting such mixed messages from all this. And then from these appearances, they're telling me anything you're not suffering, any actual like work damages, working just fine. For you, people are still asking for your autograph, showing up at premieres. You're just forcing it down our throat. We're seeing it everywhere. So hard to see what you're really suffering through. Because if anybody's suffering, it's clearly the guy who's now lost his agency, his jobs, isn't out there doing anything. That's the one who's clearly losing things based on your ridiculous accusations. Why don't he continue with the show? It's like it's the best. I mean, it's chaos. But it's yeah, like everything is so bad, like she didn't cause the intense year, Seth went on to say. I mean, you mentioned you had an intense year, maybe not as totally informed about it as other people. Now I love how he said that, because that to me is his excuse for why he's not pressing, I'm not as educated on it. And you got to be clear, this isn't 60 Minutes or some hard-hitting news show. This is a late-night comedy show. But he's making it clear out the gate like, I don't know all the details, but I don't really want to know all the details. Just hello, audience. I don't know all the details, but I'm thrilled you're not doing a weekend update right now because you'll be quite informed. So it's good, yeah, but where I'd ask you about it, the reality is he is the beginning of his show, a closer look. He talks about all sorts of entertainment stories, of course. He knows he's just saying that to Blake to get away with being nice to see that, which is very telling. You got to like put up a good rep. So if it all goes to hell, he could be like, well, I didn't know. Yeah, if she turns into a crazy person publicly, which she is, in my opinion, he can then play like, oh, I wasn't really paying attention. We've had predators on, and yeah, I thought it would be fine. I feel that the preamble was very smart on Seth Meyers' part. One, imagine you're in a situation where you can't say much yet. I mean, what can I say? She can say whatever she wants. She can say whatever she wants to say without going too into it. Then she finally drops it. This year has been full of the highest highs and the lowest lows of my life. And I see so many women around afraid to speak, especially right now afraid to share their experiences. And in fear is by design. It's what keeps us silent. But fear is from you. Everyone is terrified of you and Ryan. They are terrified. That more on that in a second. But I also acknowledge that many people don't have the opportunity to speak. So I do feel fortunate that I've been able to, and it's the women who have had the ability to use their voice that's kept me strong. And then, helped me in my belief and my fight for the world to be safer for women and girls. Yep, she said that she dropped a whole script on how she is trying to give voice, helping people and giving them hope. It's very disappointing the way she tried to make herself feel good about what she did. Someone said she has been a victim of sexual harassment, and she can fully say she is not in support with what Blake is doing, Kadri Flaw said. When I interviewed her, she almost made me quit my job.
No.
Really?
No, it is Paul Feig's gin.
The director put his gin in.
The director put his gin in.
Do you have to go home and tell Ryan, I have bad news?
No, it was like, baby, I have...
In another video by Kadri Flaw, she said that as Blake assumed she is a princess doing a charity, then she was compared to Princess of Wales, who is actually busy making important moves and doesn't have time to show off her dresses, but Blake changes her outfits like she's on a runway. It was always about her appearance, even in the movie. She went on to say that if she was a director, she wouldn't cast her in a movie, especially if it's a movie that requires intimacy. Seeing that Blake turns everything to harassment. A news article was seen recently, and the headline went like this: Blake Lively has dominated headlines for long, but her future as a movie star is unclear. He then went on to point out the fact that after the movie she is currently in, she doesn't have any other movies she plans to be in, and that's true. We haven't heard anything about her being in another movie at all. Maybe Blake would have to put out a one-man show because no one would work with her. That was just a little diversion. Going back to the talk show, applause sign came up and the audience went with it and clapped. It was more of, ooh, let's follow the instructions, because most people in that crowd definitely did not understand what she was saying, because she was just throwing words here and there to make something up. I'm certainly going to respect that you're in a position where you can't talk about it more, and obviously I think a lot of people hope we would talk about it more. But I think we gave him that crushed ice thing, and that's what they came for. And that was the end. Like, she legit played victim, and then went on to talk about football, then movie, and all that. Like, she didn't just drop a bomb. Oh, thank God. We were like, there were two things we wanted to talk about, and they did that day. Did the first song in Frozen. We were obviously, and then he did it. The last thing I'll show you is sort of as they exited, you can see her like, thank you so much. Like, thank you for following the guard. Watch this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Did you catch that at the end? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for real. Thank you so much. Thank you for not screwing me over and making this worse for me. I mean, you got to remember there's a laugh, there's a sign. They're telling them when to applaud and laugh. They didn't really laugh throughout the rest of the stuff. I didn't show you. It was very uncomfortable because there just no one cared. She's nodded. Was not funny or engaging, even taking away the drama. She was very mediocre and bland through talk show appearance. And the drama clearly makes it more interesting. There's a curiosity factor, etc. And Seth is definitely doing her the solid of playing softball, is what he's doing here. So plenty of people are going to be annoyed by him. But he's doing his job. This is what he does. He's getting ratings. He needs ratings of shows on so late. And that people don't watch his clips as much as the other. Guys, I'm sure he was stoked to get the first interview, and he's just playing it safe. So that's the Seth side of it. From Blake's side, this idea that she's now being silenced, that she's the voice for all women. That infuriates me, the fact that she's now trying to become the poster child for standing up to what you had all the control in that set. I'll tell you the reason I'm getting more frustrated by the story is I'm speaking to people who were there. I'm speaking to people. There, I'm trying to get journalists this weekend. I was like, I'm going to New York this weekend to shoot the crew. I'm literally up at 3 a.m. taping this way, as I was before I went to the airport, because I want to bring the story to you. And I will tell you this, as I wrap this up, I literally have had journalists at publications tell me, I don't want to comment on this, they're too religious, as in Blake and Ryan have instilled fear across this whole industry and are making everyone afraid. Well, we don't want to upset Ryan, literally, that's the industry. Right now, I crap you not. That is what's happening. People are terrified of turning on these two. So you add that couple with the PR machine, and everyone like Seth Meyers still applauding. And they're still the heroes. They're what's happening in the reality of things. They're just forcing themselves down everybody's throat. Believe me, it's like, don't look. Don't read all the evidence. Just believe me, because I'm the woman, and that guy's a creep without any evidence. And mind you, if that falls apart later, we settle. Whatever, won't matter. But because optically she's constantly out there as this victim for all women, the reality check is a lot of people are just going to accept that and say, well, that's what happened. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the bell for alerts. We are pivoting other stories, and we'll get there, and we'll still keep the story going when there's big news. But I don't want us to forget, while this lawsuit's happening, we got to keep to the truth, got to keep defining justice on this case. And we will with your help. And that interview with Blake, man, that was frustrating. And that's what the media is going to look at there, already afraid to keep us silent. This is on page 6 before it aired. So clearly this was maybe Seth Meyers' team or definitely Blake. Lively, someone in the audience told us, "You mean someone on Blake's side?" Because she wanted the narrative to already start going out there. This was before it was a release of public. So they're in overdrive to protect their image and declare themselves as victims. And I find it despicable. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching.